So I have associates and bachelors in business administration, and a lot of terminology from business, the Most High is carried into my spiritual walk with him to help me with teaching lessons or anything of that nature, just for my own personal growth, right? And one thing I learned is SWOT analysis. You got strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, rulers of darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. These are spiritual entities. We wrestle against them. These beings, the demonic kingdom, they have done a SWOT analysis on you, believer or non-believer. Ever since your youth to where you are now, they have a SWOT analysis on you. That means they know your strengths, they know your weaknesses, and they know the opportunities they have if they distract you with your weaknesses so you cannot do what the Most High has called you to do. And they also know the threat that is against them if you operate in your strengths with the Holy Spirit, okay? With the Holy Spirit, because it's through Christ who strengthens you that you could do all things, right? So they know, okay, we don't want him or we don't want her to operate in his or her God-given talents, gifts, or strengths that the Holy Spirit has deposited in her before she was even in the womb. We had to distract her with our weaknesses. And one of the number one things I would say, opinionated, right, that they use is your trauma, the things you're not healed from. And you're going to hear it in a video that I'm doing, the stories. If you have abandonment issues, if you've been abused, you deal with rejection, you deal with offense, you deal with lust, all that stuff, they will use that against you at an opportune time. So you are not operating in the will of the Most High. This is the importance of healing. This is the importance of going through a healing journey. This is what I'm realizing that I kind of already knew, but I'm actually embracing it. Because not being healed from your trauma, it can come back in an opportune time when you least expect it. This is what you got to understand. I call Ephesians 6:12 the family of manipulators and seducers. And they're very strategic. They can't operate quickly, because if they operate quickly, you're going to be easily detected. Like, hold on. That's not Jesus. That's Satan. No, you don't win this time. That's going to be easy. But they operate, they're long suffering. They're patient. They operate throughout the years, so you can't detect them. One seed there, one seed the next year, might even throw 5 seeds that year. Then when it gets to that opportune time, it's now an oak tree, and now what they planned against you can be accomplished. That's the importance of having the Holy Spirit, because he reveals like, hey, there's a seed there. Hey, you need to be healed from hate and malice. You need to be healed from lust. You need to be healed from the abuse you went through. You need to be healed from the trauma you went through. Because if you don't get healed from it, when I put you in a position that I have called you to be in, and the enemy comes to tempt you with something you weren't healed from your childhood, you're going to damage it. You might mess around and take somebody's life. You might say the wrong thing to somebody and that ends your whole career. You might do this and it ends a relationship. You might do this and it might end your own life, all because you wasn't healed from what Ephesians 6:12 planted seeds in you from your youth. This is the importance of healing. Now I understand the importance why he says, cast your burdens on me and cast your cares onto me. Seek me from healing. I'm not to the brokenhearted. Because if you don't get healing from me, it's going to affect what I've called you to do. And I see little parts of it in my life right now. They have a SWOT analysis on you. Don't think there's monitoring spirits. There's familiar spirits. You're just not out here in the world by yourself. No, they're monitoring you. And they know your strengths. They know your weaknesses. And once you understand your enemies and how they operate, it could be the smallest seed. Once you have the Holy Spirit, you have that communion or that communication or that intimacy with the Holy Spirit. He let you know, don't you see? Don't you see what he was trying to do? So then you learn, you're like, so that's how you operate. He operates slowly. It might not always be quickly and rashly, because you're automatically going to be like, okay, that was Satan. No, he's just like he was a snake in the garden and you don't really see a snake until it go to bite. That's how it is. That's how it is spiritually. That's the importance as I'm on this healing journey, and maybe people are supposed to be helped from this too. You got to understand your enemies. You got to understand. So when the Most High is wanting you to be transparent, I'm speaking to myself too. Please understand me. Wants you to be transparent, to submit to him, to let it all out, to confess it to him. Do it. Do it. Because it could be that one moment in a future time that can end your life, in somebody else's life, in your career, in a relationship, mess up the plans he had for you. I don't know why people say you can't. Yes, you can mess up the own plans that the Most High have for you, because He's not going to go against free will. All right, this is what I plan for Valencia to do. If she submits to me, it will happen. But if she don't submit to me, it won't happen. That's why we got to seek Him for guidance. That's why we got to seek Him for instruction. That's why we got to acknowledge Him in all our ways, and He'll direct our paths. Direct our paths to what? To what He had already before ordained before we were in the womb. But if you don't acknowledge Him, if you don't seek Him, you're not going to go in that pathway. So you can mess up what He has for you. You sure enough can. You can mess it up, but you don't want to mess it up. So if He's calling you to call out things or to confess this to Him, the brokenness you're going through, the trauma you go through, do it. Because at an opportune time, like I said, SWOT analysis, Ephesians 6:12, the opportunities of what they can to distract you with your weaknesses. She's not really confident, because I remember we used to tell her in her childhood that she was never going to be nothing. So she ain't got no boldness, no courage to spread the gospel. Oh, he can't be no pastor. We keep tempting him with lust, and because he never got healed from that abuse he went through as a child, that MOL station, he gonna continue to succumb to woman after woman after woman until gonna get pregnant, another pregnant, another baby mama, another baby mama. He ain't gonna be in no church. It'd be the smallest things. It'd be the smallest things. Just how the Most High is in detail. Satan, I'm not trying to give them praise. Ephesians 6:12, they're in the detail too. The smallest things. You might think this is a good thing. Things you might think that's working out good for you. Like, oh, I finally got a knowledge. They finally know who I am. My name's out here. I'm doing this. But behind the scenes, it's something they orchestrated. So you no longer got your eyes on Christ. Another story I talked about when I was on Clubhouse. It's the story I talked about just for a young lady. I use a young lady probably because I was a woman. Say for instance, the young lady deals with, she needs to have a boyfriend, or she needs to have that male connection, right? So she thinks she finally hit that season where the guy has caught her attention. Like she's caught a guy's attention, like, oh, wow, I have a boyfriend and all this stuff. And she's slowly straying away from that grandfather or that grandmother or that auntie or that uncle that the Most High placed into her life to bring her closer to Christ. She's tired of being at home. She feels so lonely. She can't be around friends or anything like this. She's always around her uncle or auntie or grandmother or grandfather, and they keep talking about Christ and Christ and Christ. And that's the Holy Spirit trying to implant seeds into her so they can grow into an oak tree. Because she finally got that desire, because she wasn't healed. She wasn't healed. She didn't surrender that loneliness or that abandonment to the Most High. She gets that boyfriend. That boyfriend starts to, he might try to treat her nice or whatever. But the behind the scenes, Ephesians 12 is using that. And he's slowly pulling her away from where the Most High was trying to have her at. To her, this felt bad, but it was actually working for her good. To her, this felt good, but it was actually working for her bad, because now she's straying away. She don't know nothing about Christ anymore. She's not hearing nothing about that. She might go into African spiritualism, zodiac signs, witchcraft, all this stuff. And here the Most High was trying to plant these seeds into her, because at a certain point in her life, he was going to use her to spread the gospel in whichever way, shape, or form. They're strategic. After hearing this, I want you to evaluate your own life. Many steps. I evaluate my own. I see with the help of the Holy Spirit. I'm like, oh, I see. And this is helping me see with me going the journey of healing and the loneliness and all of that stuff that I go through. I'm like, oh, me? I was supposed to be pregnant. I was supposed to be a baby mother. My mom was protective over me. And me being preacher's kids, like, you want to bust out and just go do stuff what the world couldn't do. And I wasn't dating. I wasn't supposed to be dating, like, any of that stuff. And I went to a young man's house twice. Nothing happened. And that was the protection of the Holy Spirit too, because, with the history of the young man, I probably could have been abused or whatnot. But, that's just, it's grace. That's normal. That's normally what you see with the PKs. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna be pregnant, gonna lead a church and all this stuff. That's what my story was supposed to be. I see the seeds, but it did not happen that way. And I thank the Most High. But just because I passed that milestone, there could be something else cooking behind the scenes that I'm just not aware of. So I got to make sure that I'm submitting to Christ so he can show me. I need the revealer to reveal what's happening in the darkness, just like you need him to do. Surrender. Okay, bye.